Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful time. As you can see in the description of this video, today we're going to cover the topic of strategic pricing. Welcome to the class. I hope that at the end of this lesson, you would be able to discover how pricing can be a very potent strategy weapon. Also that you see how profits can be increased both through raising revenues and cutting costs, and also learn that in the long run, value is more important than price. So let's go. The price you charge your customer can be too high and therefore make an item either unaffordable or poor value, or too low, so you don't make enough profit or let consumers to believe your product is poorly made or even disposable. Like each of the other P's in marketing, pricing is highly malleable and if used correctly can be a very strong strategic weapon. You can change pricing dramatically depending on what you are trying to accomplish. Getting pricing right is critical to your overall success in both the short and the long term. Have you ever wondered what goes into the price of something you buy? The answer varies dramatically according to the way it's manufactured, distributed, promoted, and sold. A container of milk travels from a cow to a farmer, to a processing dairy, to a delivery service, to a retailer, to your home. The price you pay at the store covers all costs and provides profit to the farmer, the dairy, the delivery service, and the retailer. But it doesn't just have to cover the cost of the milk as a product. The price you pay has to help cover everything between the cow and your refrigerator. This covers things as mundane as packaging cost, lighting, shop workers, drivers, and feed for the cows. You can imagine how this can become very complicated very quickly. What does it all mean? First, let's get used to some basic terminology. The first one we have is sales. The amount of products sold is stated as either unit sales or in terms of currency. Cost. The cost of manufacturing and selling products. Profit or loss. The difference between the total sales and total cost. Return on investment or ROI. A ratio that shows the relative value of investing in one product versus another. Retail price. How much consumers pay to the retailer for the product they are buying. Retail markup. The amount of money or percentage, then called the retail margin, the retailer adds to the price he pays to reach the retail price. Net price retailer. What the retailer pays the manufacturer for the product. Cost of goods. How much it costs the manufacturer to produce the product. Direct expenses. The cost for a manufacturer associated with selling the product, for example, advertising and personal sales. And retailer margin. The percentage of profit made when an item is sold. For example, if the retailer buys a widget for $1 and sells it for $2, the gross profit is $1 and gross margin is 50%. To put these terms into context, let's take a look at a bottle of shampoo. How much does the manufacturer actually profit from each bottle sold? Let's say the bottle sells for a retail price of $5. The retailer purchased the bottle for $3.33 and that's the net price to retailer, and marked it up by more than 40%. That's the retail markup, to get to the retail price of $5. But what about costs and profits at the manufacturer? Remember, the manufacturer sold the same bottle of shampoo for $3.33. In this case, the cost of goods is roughly 60% of their sales price, $2. Direct expenses to sell the bottle are about 55% of their sales price. That means 83 cents, leaving a profit of 50 cents per bottle, 50% profit margin. Generally speaking, the more hands a product has to pass through, the higher the price, as each of those people needs to cover cost plus profit. Conversely, of course, the fewer hands the item passes through, the lower the cost. Every product category we speak of is likely to have a different path from manufacturer to consumer. Few manufacturers sell their products directly to consumers. When you buy fruit and vegetables at a farmer's market, you are buying directly from the manufacturer. However, when that same farmer sells goods to middlemen or grocery stores, additional steps are being built into the retail path and additional cost as well. Fashion designer Ralph Lauren sells direct to consumers through his polo stores, the internet, and outlet stores. He also sells through both high-end clothing stores and discount clothing stores. Sometimes these are different lines of clothing, sometimes they are the same product at radically different price points. So what factors determine pricing? As you can imagine, the list of factors that determine how much you will charge for your product is nearly endless. We'll take a look at some of the major factors that need to be considered. Let's analyze and discuss. What is your objective? Practice well, marketing is one of the most creative and disciplined forces on earth. Nothing is haphazard. Every decision is based on well-thought objectives. What you want to accomplish, and strategies how you will accomplish your objective. There are two major marketing objectives, sales-driven objectives and profit-driven objectives. A sales-driven objective means that you want to maximize the units you sell. You may measure that by unit sales, dollar or currency, or market share. Brands often set sales objectives when they are relatively young or still in a growth phase. By maximizing the total number of products sold, you are reaching the broadest possible audience and hoping to build loyalty to your brand. Profits may be secondary during this growth phase. Profit-driven objectives aim to either maximize the overall profit the brand can deliver to the company or the profit per item. New products that begin with sales-driven objectives will frequently shift to a profit-driven objective once they have maximized their ongoing sales potential. How flexible is your price? Have you ever heard the term manufacturer suggested retail price or recommended retail price? Often, that is a nearly arbitrary price set only to establish a benchmark to which discounts can be applied. When you buy that bottle of shampoo we mentioned earlier, you will probably pay the full price the retailer tells you the item will cost you. Be assured that you are the only one to have paid a non-negotiated price. All prices are negotiated with hundreds of different types of discount applied. Manufacturers routinely offer quantity discounts to retailers. The more you buy, the less you pay per item. That allows you as a retailer to either make more money on every item you sell, or to pass the discount on to your consumers to make your shop more attractive than your competition. Manufacturers offer temporary and seasonal price reductions. Sometimes these are made just to help the manufacturer make their numbers, that means sell all the units they had projected, or possibly to make their product more competitively priced during high seasonal selling periods, like beer in the summertime. Consumers often get the benefit of negotiated prices in the form of consistently lower retail prices or through mechanisms that temporarily lower the prices, such as temporary price reductions, coupons, 2-for-1 deals, or upsized products. When a manufacturer offers a bonus amount of product for the same price as the standard size, and so on. Now let's see how elastic is your price. Price elasticity is a measurement of how much you can change your price without changing demand. For example, if you increase price by, let's say, 10% and demand stays the same, your price is said to be elastic. You are still within an acceptable range for your consumer and demand remains unaffected. Should demand decrease significantly, your price is inelastic, meaning it cannot be changed without significant consequences. Obviously, elasticity is affected by supply of acceptable alternatives, economic conditions, your current price in the category compared to your competition, and just about every other factor that affects price. Another thing we have to consider is what stage of the product life cycle are you in? When a highly anticipated product comes to the market, it's normal to price the item very high. Usually there is a group of innovators willing to pay almost anything to be among the first to own the item. This practice is called scheme pricing because marketers are skimming off the top end of the target audience to get a very high price for a product before it becomes mainstream. Scheme pricing is often followed by penetration pricing, when the retail price is lowered to help the brand gain a greater penetration in the market. Something you also might want to consider is how strong is demand. Similar to the previous point, brands in high demand can charge far more than brands in low demand. When demand is strong, you can price accordingly. When demand falls, often the prices consumers are willing to pay drop as well. Finally, some other things that you might want to consider is the geographic pricing. While in the US it is illegal to sell the same item to one person at one price while you sell it to another at another price, there are often geographic differences brought on in part by the variance in things such as transportation costs and real estate cost. A cup of coffee at a Starbucks will cost you more in a big city like Paris than in a small provincial town, and it will cost you even more in an airport because everything does. How long is your markup chain? As mentioned earlier, the closer you are to the source manufacturer, the fewer markups you will need to build into your price. Keep in mind, however, that even in the very simple example we gave earlier of a farmer selling directly to you at a farmer's market, there are markups hidden in the cost of seeds, fertilizer, and all of the machinery the farmer needs. All of these affects what the farmer has to charge in order to make a profit, and ultimately, those costs all get passed along to the consumer. Finally, how fast is turnover? Turnover refers to how often you turn over or sell your total inventory. Bread is purchased on a regular basis by the majority of the world's population and therefore has a very fast turnover. It is baked, stoked, and sold within a short period of time. Jewelry, on the other hand, has a very slow turnover. A retailer might stock a necklace that sits in the store for 12-18 months before just the right buyer comes along. Faster turnover allows for lower prices and profit margins because sales are reasonably regular. Lower turnover items might require much higher prices and higher profit margins to cover their infrequent purchase timing.
Krabs is opening a new restaurant called the Krusty Krab 2. First of all, congratulations, Mr. Krabs.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money.
And that's the end of the lesson. Thank you so much for having joined me. And remember that we still have more to come for basics of marketing finance. Thanks so much and see you soon.